I'm Darwin with PickFactor.com, your source for the latest game day predictions and analysis. And I'm joined by Johny Big Rig Hendricks. How you doing, Johny?
I'm doing wonderful.
So how's the Texas weather treating you? I was there not so long ago. A little humid today?
Actually, you know what? That cold front came in. It's only 85 today. I think 88, something like that. So it's not too bad. The last couple of days, though, oh my gosh, 100. I think we hit 103. Just miserable heat. But what's hurt me is I've been doing a lot of traveling, so I get used to the heat. I fly out to somewhere cooler. I come back to the heat. So it's nice to finally be settled in.
Well, good. Listen, I was watching your fight against Campman. It reminded me of a quick Tyson fight. We recently saw that you met and trained with Mike Tyson. You're both heavy hitters. What tips or strategies did you take away from meeting one of the boxing's greats?
Actually, a couple of good tips. He told me a couple of things that I could maybe use, and I've actually been using them. They're, one of the greater things he said is, some guys you can hit with a kitchen sink and they won't go down, but you put a body shot on them as hard as you hit, you can crumble them. So that's something that I've. One of the things I've started doing, my boxing coach, he was trying to tell me that. My striking coach was trying to tell me that. But, it's like sometimes it doesn't sink in until somebody like that tells you. So for the last, the last couple of weeks, I've dropped like 3 people with body shots. So it's nice.
I'm sure. Were you naturally heavy-handed, or is this something you've kind of cultivated early or throughout your career?
Something that my boxing coach from the very get-go said that I could hit hard. It's just, when you don't have the technique behind it, you try too much. Does that make sense? You're trying instead of just letting it flow. Now that I've realized that I do have that one-punch knockout power, now I get to let it flow. I don't have to try to knock people out. It just happens. And that's whenever the punch that you don't think hits them that hard, that's when it usually finishes them. So that's something that's nice to know. And that's something that I'm trying to train my body into as well, is do it in the later rounds as well.
Well, out of your last 6 fights, 3 of them have been knockouts of the night. You definitely have the reputation for finishing these fights. In today's UFC, how important are knockouts and finishes?
I think finishes are very important. We're entertainers. This is a sport. We've been recognized as a sport, and fans come to pay to see something. I know you're not going to be able to finish every fight, but if you can go out there and try to put on, even if they can't finish them, as long as I think people love the Carlos Condit fight more than any of my other fights, because we were toe to toe, banging it out. Just having a slugfest, and the fans love that. They're there to get their minds off of whatever it is. And, if you can finish or have an exciting fight, that's what we're paid for. That's what we're not only there to win, but also to entertain.
You recently said your game plan was pretty simple. You were going to either punch them with your left or punch GSP with your left, take him down, or find another way. Even though your game plan seems clear, how do you really envision the fight really going down in your mind? And I mean, Johny, when you're at the beach, just laying there on the sand, taking the rays in, dreaming and envisioning this win, how do you really envision that win? I want the clear-cut truth here.
I think I might knock him out with my right hand. That's my left. I know it has power, and I know he knows that. But my right, I hit harder, if not as hard, maybe a little harder than my left hand with my right. I'm starting to believe in that. I'm starting to get my body into it more and more and more. And the more I do these things and the more I hit with it, the more I'm believing in it. So now whenever I score, I hardly ever let my left hand go. I'm starting to hit so much with my right hand and I'm stopping people with my right hand in the gym that I have to take a step back and say, hey, you can't do that. You got to. I'm trying to get control over it. Now that I know I have the power, now it's about control. So that's what I'm really hoping for, is that he's going to circle to my right, and I can land a devastating hook on him.
Phenomenal. The George St. Pierre you're fighting, do you see him as the best George St. Pierre, or do you see him as kind of losing a step from his long break?
I think he's about the same. If you watch, it's just getting tougher and tougher. I mean, the level of athletes are starting to get harder and harder, and more developed, more rounded, should I say, as it goes on. The only thing is that George became predictable. And I think that if you really go in there with that mindset of who cares if you get taken down, you get back to your feet. I mean, I know I can get back to my feet, but stay calm. That's the most important thing, is he's going to try to take you down, get you flustered, take you down, get you flustered, take you down, get you flustered. And before you know it, you forget your game plan. The most important part is staying calm, staying true to your game plan, and moving forward.
You train with Team Takedown. Have you guys brought in any new trainers or elements to your camp this time around that you haven't done before?
We hired a new boxing coach, Tony. He's a Texas State. He's the head over Texas State boxing. He does the junior, the guys who are starting to turn pro, or they go to the Gold Gloves or stuff like that. So the Texas national team, he's the head of that. So we brought him in to help clean up my striking. We still have Stephen Wright, which is cleaning up my kicks and stuff like that. They need, of course, Mark Lehman and Adrian Ramirez, which is a huge strength conditioning. So, it's pretty much the same. Sometimes you overanalyze what can happen, right? You get to the championship, and you're like, I got to do something to make myself better. And you start overanalyzing, and you start doing this, you start doing that, instead of remembering what got you there. And that's something that I'm trying to do, is say, hey, there's only a couple things I need to do to make myself to where I can do a 5-round fight, but I don't need to change my whole camp around. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. More reaction, less thinking. I mean, I absolutely agree. Last question for you. MMA is a fast-growing sport and reaches new fans every single day, going into a mainstream media like Fox, etc. A lot of people watching this upcoming fight against GSP will be seeing you for the very first time. Which of your previous fights would give people the best picture of you and get them the most excited about your upcoming fight?
That's a good question. Probably all of them. If I had to pick one, I would pick the Carlos Condit fight. The reason why is because, I took him down, but if you watch that fight, anytime the crowd did not like what I was doing, or vice versa, I made an adjustment. I either let him up, or I took him down, did the big slams. There's a lot of things I did to play to the crowd, and that's something that no matter where you're at, you're going to get the same feedback, and that's what it's about. Is I can listen to the crowd and play to their strengths, but also one thing I'm learning is my strengths. Just because you're great at this, I want to defeat you at that. Does that and that's really what I want to do, is not just win, but beat you at your best game and win that way.
Absolutely. Well, Pick Factor, we're big fans. We wish you the best of luck come November against GSP. And folks, check it out. PickFactor.com. We're joined by Johny Hendricks. Great interview.